It's Tuesday and you know what that means. A new dinosaur showcase. Okay, a pterosaur showcase. And it's a pterosaur we've seen before, and it's one that was in Evolution 2's base game. But still, what we do get is a pretty brilliant look at how much Evolution is benefiting from this new generation of graphics. Tropeognathus has never looked better, and the lighting engine in particular is doing some really good work bringing this thing to life. Our very first actual shot gives us a great look at the sexual dimorphism as well for Tropeognathus. The male on the right is substantially larger across the board, with a longer, thicker beak, longer wings, and a more puffed out chest. He's very proud of himself. It also has a thicker pattern across the wings, which is new for Evolution 3. The female on the left has the old JWE3 patterning. We're going to see a lot of this today, but this is also maybe our best look yet at the walking behaviour for the pterosaurs, with the juvenile going on an absolute marathon, and we also see this really nice close-up a little bit after. The animation is of course a big boon for us, much needed to make the pterosaurs feel more like real animals instead of fleshy helicopters that just take off every now and again. If I had a critique however, it is the finger placement. Now I'm hardly a paleo expert, so I'm open to being corrected on this, believe me, but I believe the consensus is that pterosaurs walked on their fingers, much like an ape would, but with the fingers spread a little bit further apart. To me it looks like the fingers are splaying out flat on the ground as this one walks, which I don't think is how it would have been done, but I could be wrong. It's not a big deal or anything, but I do think it's worth pointing out. Unless I am wrong, in which case pretend I didn't say anything, it was a ghost. Ooh. Convinced? On the plus side, this tree with its waxy coating is a nice detail. Desert trees are often waxy to help them hold in water. Now, if there's one part of this video that'll excite people, and excited me for a long time, I think it's this little guy in the corner. The feeding animation, that's all as we've seen before, but this little pterosaur, I really thought it might be something other than Tropeognathus. But I've been staring at it, honestly, for about 1,000 hours so far, and I've convinced myself again that it is just Tropeognathus. I think the main kicker is it looks briefly like it has a tail, but I think those are just the 2 feet of the trope being viewed together. You can kind of see them split again into the legs a little bit afterwards. I'm going to say this is Trope, and not where my brain was going, which was, it's a Ramporangus or something. The narrator mentions here how Trope will need careful social management. Sounds like it'll be a little bit picky about its population needs and stuff like that, although it can have up to at least 15 pterosaurs. He goes on to say that it's not a naturally social animal, but that adults and juveniles will have some, and I quote, subtle interactions that guests can enjoy. Now what that hopefully means is some form of social animation, because the pterosaurs were lacking that before, and of course now that we've got this terrestrial movement, it's the perfect time to include pterosaur social animations in the game. It would be a lot easier now. I suspect that's not what it is. What I suspect it is instead is that adults and juveniles will occasionally fly together, like we're seeing on the screen right here, sort of airborne herding essentially, but you never know. It's cool that we can decorate inside the viewing gallery, so that's nice. Now the hybrids of course have already been confirmed, but if they hadn't been, then this shot would have done so even further, with Trope having the same dislikes as the previous games. It hates these mutant, man-made monstrosities, and it also hates Tapejara. All my homies hate Tapejara. It is interesting to note it says hybrids, because in the previous game it used to say Dr. Wu's hybrids. Perhaps that's early priming for the introduction of the rebirth hybrids down the line. Some people will take this to mean that those hybrids are already going to be in the game, but I find that very unlikely still, if not all but impossible at this point in time, not to be a Debbie Downer. And if I'm honest folks, that's about it for this one. We get a nice shot of a desert themed aviary looking much more alive and varied than the previous game ever could, and a cool confirmation that our pterosaurs will be able to fly under rock arches, etc., as they emerge from one at the start of this clip. It makes me think maybe what we could do is cover our entire aviary in rocks and make like a gigantic bat cave lighted up from the inside. That sounds awesome actually. I'm going to add that to my list of things to do. But really that is about it, unless that pterosaur is something secret or there's a little bit more to that social interaction than they're letting run. There isn't much to pull out from this one. It's a bit of a weird choice, I think, Tropeognathus at this stage in the game so close to release, but it's a cool video all the same. Let me know what you think of it down below in the comment section. Did you spot something I didn't? Definitely sound off in the comments. Stick around for lots more Evolution 3, yada 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 yada. Thank you very much for joining me. Cheers, as always. Bye-bye.